Well, welcome back to In the Hallway. I'm Frank.
I'm Renee.
And I'm LaTanya, and we are the Hall siblings.
Yes.
Today we're coming to you with, we're all school teachers. We're talking about dysfunctional relationships at work.
Ooh.
So I know we've all had one for one or two or three.
Right?
Or four or 5 or 6, yeah.
Numerous.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you all define as what's dysfunctional for you as far as relationships at work? Whether it be coworker, boss, whatever.
Yeah, just pretty much when you can't get along with someone.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
It could be as simple as, you having a disagreement and not being able to come to some common ground just to get beyond the disagreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what though, for us I think it's a little bit different being teachers because you're on hall duty for your 5 minutes, then you go in your classroom and it's just you and your students.
Right.
Yeah.
So we don't get a lot of interaction with our coworkers and
Right.
our bosses,
Right.
That's a different ball game.
Yeah, that's a different ball game.
Different ball game. Anything different for you, Renee?
No, I think really the same thing.
Okay.
Interaction with your coworkers, even though it's brief, sometimes you still have that interaction in the hallway,
Right.
in the lounge, staff meetings.
Right.
See, I think more dysfunction comes in with the boss for me.
Okay.
Something about it must be my personality.
Wait, explain, what are you talking about?
Like how bosses will say like they have an open door policy
Right.
and they encourage you to be creative and they want you to really shine and all that good stuff. But then it comes down to it when you actually are doing those things, then it becomes a slight problem.
For example.
Right, I said, do you have an experience to share?
Well, just in general, I've noticed just in our experiences that bosses like for you to run up under them like a little puppy. Kind of like
brown nosing.
yeah, that asking for their approval, like every time you want to take a step, they want to make sure that you get their approval and don't try to do anything to,
But is that not a normal thing that we do? I mean, if you're at work and you're doing things regarding your job, I mean, don't you want to seek your boss's approval? I mean, what's unusual about that?
Well, I think because they want you to run up under them too much.
Okay.
They don't want you to be creative. They want you to come up with the bright idea, and then they want to take the credit.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So,
not good. Right.
yeah. So, it just creates a problem. But, that, and just every boss I've ever had, for some reason, I've always had it out with them.
Now let's see. What's the common denominator here?
Them.
Frank,
That's a good question.
And Frank.
It's them. It's them.
Okay,
I'm
so-
not difficult.
Well,
I'm easy to get along with.
You are easy to get along with.
I would have to agree with that for the
See.
most part. And we've worked with you.
And
Right.
we've all worked together.
We have.
You know what happens when we all get together? That fear. Bosses can't believe that we're as close as we say we are.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
And then that fear comes in. We've only had one boss.
Yeah, that really appreciated
She
the
appreciated
idea of family and the
our
unity
family.
that we had.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's true.
Great boss, we love you.
Yes,
Mhm.
we do.
We worked together, 3 years.
3
We worked
years.
at the same school. You were across the hall from me. Frank was next door to me. So
Oh, it was
That's
fun.
what
that was
That's
comical.
when we transitioned into middle school.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Right.
That-
You were already in middle school.
I was
right?
in middle school. I was already in middle school.
Oh.
Mhm.
You came before I did.
Yes. No, we
No.
came at the same time, but I was already
We
in middle
transitioned
school.
into the same middle school together.
Together.
Right. That's
That
That's
was,
right.
yeah.
it. That really was a blast.
And
Yeah.
before that, Renee and I worked together at the same elementary school.
Right.
True.
And what did our boss do when we all tried to get to the same building? He tried to block it.
Yeah, but thank God he wasn't able to. So
Right.
we
Right.
had a great 3 years
We
together.
did.
Great 3 years
And then we
together.
left there, and Frank and I worked together.
Right.
That's a
Frank
whole
left,
new story.
Right.
and I stayed.
That was probably the worst year of our entire teaching career.
Yeah.
I know it was for me.
It was awful.
Right.
Wait, we're getting off task as we
Yeah.
tell our students. We'll come back to that on a later show.
later
but
show.
We're
Right.
going to stick with our dysfunctional relationships at work.
That's right.
Now, one thing I know that we made note of was shady coworkers. And
Yes.
again, you never really know what someone's motives are. You can only go by what they do or what they say.
Exactly.
And I had a situation where I was scheduled to teach a certain thing, and another teacher was scheduled to teach something else. Well, you know, it was interesting to me that once that person brought it to my attention that they
Right.
wanted to make the trade-off, that my supervisor asked me if I would officially make the trade because I had decided I didn't want to do that.
Okay.
So, you know, it wound up, of course, I got dumped on with what I didn't want to teach. It's worked out okay, but the point was, you know, that person swears to me that, you know, they had nothing to do with the change.
Of course.
You know, I wasn't born yesterday, but, you know, I'm making it work. You know,
Yeah.
I
Right.
still speak, you know, we still chit chat and talk, but that's the end of that's the yellow brick road ends right there.
Yeah.
Right.
So again, I'm making the relationship work because I go to this job every day, at least for the moment.
Exactly.
And, you know, so it's fine, whether that person knows or not, I don't know. But,
Yes.
you know, I'm going in, being cordial, speaking, you know, little
Right.
chit chat, go in my room, slam the door, and take it out on my students. Just kidding.
And see, and that's the hard part of, for me, is learning how to play the game. I'm not good at it.
I know, just not a game player.
Not a
We've never
game
been
player.
game players.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
we're forthright and, you know, what you see is what you get.
Exactly, and we know, well, sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't work.
Right.
Right. But at the same time, you have to think of it from the boss's perspective. Part of what we're meant to do on the job is to get along with each other. So even though you may
Yes.
not want to speak and we don't want to speak, it's important to show that camaraderie and
That's
put
true.
a strong foot forward and
Oh yeah. And
That's a
that,
good
that
point.
is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's true, and I've gotten better over the years, but you know, it's always challenging.
So you've been doing some reflecting.
That's still not my fault.
But have you looked at your side? Like Renee said, there are two sides to every story.
Right.
There's a perspective on each side. We really don't know what.
Of course, and I'm always right.
Well, you sound like Daddy.
That's it.
And, you know, let's be honest. I know for me personally, when I can get along with my coworkers, it does help my day to go better
It's
because
true.
we have to interact with each other. And the worst thing in the world is to wait until you need someone's help to acknowledge their presence. I think it's important to
Yeah.
acknowledge each other as human beings at the beginning, and then that's taken care of.
And that's a good
It
point.
makes everyone feel like they're a part of, they belong.
That's
And
right.
not to say that I don't speak to people, but
Oh,
you know, certain people, you already know it's challenging.
Right.
Well, you speak, you smile, you give a gesture of acknowledgement. Is all
And then
I'm
you
saying.
move on.
And
Right. Again, we have to stay true to who we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Regardless of
And
what
keep
the
going.
other person is doing. I know I found it interesting. I didn't start the school year on time this year because I had surgery in the summer. And, you know, some people, there were a lot of people at work, didn't speak to me at all, or they were tight-lipped about it because I would speak. I was so amazed that they had such heartfelt concern for me when I came back. That was really eye-opening for me.
Right.
Your
Because-
coworkers.
For my coworkers, because again, we don't know what baggage they're carrying or
Yeah.
what they're experiencing, but they really reached out to me and said, "Wow, we're so glad you're back and glad you're feeling better." Some people would come and check on me. I was just amazed. So that really made me feel good.
Humanity, compassion, those things are important.
Even though they're back to normal now, at least
But
I
it's good
know.
to know they're
Right.
there. It's good to know it's in
Absolutely,
us.
it's in all
It's
of
in
us.
all of
That,
us.
that's something we have to remember with people, you know,
Right.
just in general.
Exactly.
Okay, so how can people improve their work relationships? Let's kind of sum up how can we do, how can
By
we do
improving
that?
yourself,
That's number one.
self-reflecting,
Absolutely.
treating others the way you really want to be treated.
Yeah.
So when people really treat us like crap, they want to be treated like crap.
To some degree, I guess they do.
Right,
Oh,
I suppose so.
And so you turn around and
And
do
a lot of
what?
times when you give
Treat
people
them
back
like
what they give to you,
That's
they're,
right.
you're kind of baffled.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
if it isn't your norm.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, you've always said people size you up because of your height.
A lot of times they do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cheating today, but I'm only 5'2". So yeah, they do.
Right, and I mean, what do you mean by that though, size you up? What?
You know, everyone wants, I don't know. I can't really pinpoint what they're thinking, but I know I can sometimes be treated a lot of times differently because of my height.
Because of your height.
I remember
And I
you-
have,
I remember you talking about an experience where someone bumped into you. Actually, that happens quite often, you said, and you think it's because people look at your size and think that you
Right.
won't turn around or
Yeah.
do or say.
when, you know, people feel that sometimes they can get away with things, even though they may not mean necessarily any harm, they will test the waters.
And that's true.
And until you really let them know that's not acceptable.
They don't know how sharp this is on
Oh
you, do
yeah.
they?
Little do they know.
It's razor sharp.
That's right. It can slice
But I
and
can't,
dice.
I will speak up sometimes.
Yeah. Again, Renee, you're one of the most courteous people I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to look at myself
Except
and say,
today.
she's having a bad day, folks. Why does this
And-
happen every time we're taping a
We
show?
can edit.
Telephone.
And the phone.
Maybe we'll put the machine on.